My name is Nicole Brown. I am the co-director of the Poppin Project with FND, and basically my area is Pensacola, the whole Panhandle, all the way to like maybe Jacksonville, down to Gainesville area. So that's the area that I cover. So, you know, if you have any specific questions for this for this part of the state, I'll try to do my best on specifics. But I'm all the way up yonder, so you know, I'll try to do what I can. And yes, I'm originally from Mobile, Alabama, so you know, you kind of believe on the accent in some of the terms I tend to use. But at the Family Network on Disability, you're going to see these in every presentation. But we're family driven, and we are a nonprofit. So pretty much everyone within the Family Network on Disabilities have a child, a loved one, or themselves have a disability. So the parents were, you know, y'all really get that one-on-one. I know what you're going through, you know, type of feeling. So it's not one of those professionals and you feel nervous or, you know, someone's smarter than you. So, you know, I know exactly what you've been going through. I probably went through the same exact thing maybe last year. So that's a really good thing about the organization. We are not attorneys. I cannot give legal advice. I can't even, you know, advise you in any sort of way. But we can, you know, provide support and information and, you know, anything else that you may need. You know, I can advise you of what the law says, but I can't really tell you, you know, you need to go do this, or you need to go to the school and tell them, you know, I can't do that. So, but, you know, if you're looking for any type of resources, support groups, you know, anything else, I can hook you up with that easily. So here's a quote by Mr. Cody. First, seek to understand, then to be understood. The main focus of this presentation is try to get the understanding of how to go into a meeting, a parent or you know, as a professional, and try to conduct that meeting in a uniform, collaborative way. So, communication is approximately 10% of communication, which is spoken, and 30% is your tone of voice. Because I go through this with my husband all the time. I have a 10-year-old with autism, and he's extremely low functioning. He's about 117 pounds, and he's over 5 foot, but he has the mentality of a 2-year-old. So he really doesn't understand lectures, and my husband loves to give these half-hour lectures. And I'm sitting here going, dude, I only caught the last 5 minutes of that. I know he didn't get none of it. So the thing with my husband is when he's lecturing, he gets that tone in the voice, you know, that daddy, pop-up bear tone in his voice. And I'm like, it's not what you said, it's how you say it is the biggest thing that, you know, most people have a misconception about. And 60% of it is body language. And this has to do a lot with, I know, sign language, because that's my son's main form of communication. He's not deaf, but he's speech impaired. He can say a couple of words, water and eat, but otherwise that's pretty much all you can understand out of him. If he wants any pretzels, he'll try to do a sign, but he says bobos. That's pretzels. And I know with sign language, when you sign, your facial expression has a lot to do with exactly what you're saying. Because if you just say no, and your face is very relaxed, and you're kind of tilting your head, you know, that's kind of like a gentle, oh no, that's okay. But if you say no, and you have this, your eyes are crunched, and you no, you know, that's more expressive. So it goes the same when you're in these meetings. You go into a meeting, your tone and your body language has a lot to do with how the meeting's going to go. Because if you go in there all bowed up and have, you know, a really strong tone, it's going to set those professionals, or as a professional you come in, that's going to get the parent off guard really bad. Because they're already going to have a mindset of, oh, they're completely against me, why even try? So as professionals and as parents, we really need to understand our tone and our body language has a lot to do with how that meeting's going to go.
Or put you on the defensive.
Exactly. Both sides can get that, defensive. If anyone comes into a room, with that body language and that tone in their voice. But every action, even silent, is a communication. Like I was saying, if you come up all bowed in, everyone's going to get that mindset of, okay, this is just going to be horrible, and, everyone else is going to get offensive, and the meeting will not go good, and the whole point of that meeting is for the child, and the child's going to end up with nothing. The effective communication, listen twice as much as you talk, because that's a really big thing, is to make sure that you're understanding what the people on the other side of that table is saying. Because when they start using acronyms and other terms that you're not really familiar with, then, the whole meeting's lost there in the beginning as well. Because if I'm going to sit here across the table from a parent and say a manifestation of their disability, and you're kind of going, what? The parent's completely lost. And that's why I try to tell parents, try to listen, real attentively of what they're saying on that other side of the table. And if you don't understand, stop them and ask, what does manifestation mean? What are you talking about? So that way, the meeting will go a little bit better. And because most professionals tend to forget that parents don't know all the acronyms, and they don't know, certain terms and certain words that, we tend to use every day, and that, no big deal. But we do tend to kind of forget that, most parents don't really know. So that's why I try to tell parents, stop the meeting and, explain. I don't understand, but, do it really calmly and not aggressively. Be attentive, non-judgmental, paraphrase, but don't sit there and repeat every single thing that was said to you.
Will the Inman family please report to child care? Attention. Will the Inman family please report to child care? Your children are okay, but you do need to report to child care as soon as possible.
Is that anything else? Are we good?
Yeah, I
false
thought
alarm.
First of all, just a good move.
Inman.
Okay, because if anyone needs to go check, I get it. We cool? Okay. And, like I was saying again, be aware of your body language, of how you come into the meeting and how you sit. Because if you walk in there and throw your foot up on the table, that's going to set a pretty good tone as it is. But, not to try to be too hillbilly about it, come in and gently sit down and,
So boxing gloves aren't a good idea?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I wouldn't quite suggest that one today. But.
It might be meeting number 3 or 4.
Maybe.
The one where you go and sit in the Orange County office,
Okay, so the opposite of active listening is passive listening. I love my little cartoons.
They're very good.
What were you saying? My inner voice drowned you out for a second. So, basically what they're really saying is, try not to daydream. I know the meetings can be, a little boring, but, kind of leave the inner voice at the door. And because I have a really bad tendency of going, okay, I know I turned the coffee pot off, but I wanted to cook that roast tonight. Did I put it in the fridge? Or yeah, so, you can stop saying, I stopped talking to you about an hour ago. And a lot of these little cartoons really reflect me and my husband. We have a very special relationship.
I love that.
I know when he's not listening to me because I'm sitting there just yammering on and he's driving down the road going, I'm like, dude, I just told you to stop the vehicle and let me off on that corner, okay?
Yes,
Come
dear.
on. Oh, and he loves doing the yes, dear to me. He knows it irritates me. Sometimes, Fred, I don't think you listen to a word I say. And the dude ain't even sitting there. I'm sorry, were you talking to me? Yeah, we're the only two fools on this little desert island.
But how do you get people to, maybe that's what you're getting ready to talk about, how do you get people in what if you have an IEP meeting set up where one person is, you know, administration, whatever, you know, faculty, whatever, is like on one track and you're trying to explain your opinion and they're not listening to you, they're kind of like, this is what we need to do or whatever the situation is, and you're saying, but what we need to do is look at, you know, my son and what he wants, and, or something like that. You know what I'm trying to say?
Actually, I had that situation when my son was in pre-K, and you know, the school staff was, okay, we need to do this, this, and this,
Right.
and I'm like, well, no, hold on. I want you to explain this to me because, you know, I want this route. You know, these are my focuses for my son. Hold on just a minute. And I never could get them to listen to me.
Right.
So I sat there and I'm like, okay, that's it. We need to stop the meeting and we need to reschedule to when you can focus to listen to me. I understand, you know, where your stance is as the school, but you need to stop and hear what I have to say too. So at that moment, I ended the meeting. I'm like, you know, I'm sorry, but obviously you have other things on your mind and you're very focused, so we need to come back and reschedule. So I just ended the meeting, and then we ended up, you know, rescheduling, and that kind of sent a message to the, you know, to the school staff that I was serious and I just wasn't going to sit there and be ran over. That I had things to say, and that they needed to listen to me as well, instead of me just sitting there listening to them. So that's what I did.
Can I ask a question,
Yes.
everybody? How many people are parents? Do you all write your IEPs before you go to the IEP meeting? You do? Anybody else? No, I don't. I'm thinking maybe that's a good idea, or at least to get a rough draft.
Exactly.
Although we've never had any big problems.
Janine and we work in the school systems in Hernando County, and I used to be an EC inclusion teacher, so what I've been sharing with my parents from my experience of being in staffings and whatnot is always bring a draft of not what you're looking for, but like any questions that you might have or any of your concerns, so you can ask them in your meeting.
Yeah, we do bring questions.
And exactly what she said in
Come
regards
together
to,
about a
if you feel something's not going right in the meeting, you as a parent, because you're involved in that ESE team and staffing, you're obligated. If you don't feel it's going right, you can stop it. Most definitely.
I never knew that. I never thought of that.
Well, the only reason I did it is because I was very new to everything, and I didn't understand, and I'm a very strong-willed person, and yes, ma'am, and I'm like, you know what, that's it, just stop.
Yeah, well.
So, and we rescheduled, and when we came back, I think it was like 2 weeks later, we were able to schedule another meeting. It went much better. So it went much better. But, you know, we need to, from the school district side and from the parent side, we need to, you know, respect everyone's opinion. You know, even though I'm the mama, I live with him, I tend to him, he's my honey bunny. You know, the school, you know, they went to school. They, you know, they wouldn't be there if they didn't really, you know, want to be there. So I try to respect the fact that, you know, they have experience with the school end. And in hopes of, you know, them respecting me because I live with him. You know, he's with me on the weekends. He's with me during the summer. So it really needs to be to where, you know, we respect each other's opinions on the school side and on the parent side. You know, perspectives. I'm from Alabama. So, you know, I was raised in a sense of You know, I could change a tire, change the oil in my vehicle before my grandfather let me move out. And I was 8 months pregnant. So, you know, that's how I came up. And my perspective of, you know, things are much, much different from, you know, someone in a different part of the country or a different culture. You know, to them, my perspectives of, you know, being a very strong-willed woman, you know, could be offensive to them. So, you know, we need to, you know, try to respect culturally and, you know, where other people come from and how they see things and how they view things. And, you know, again, you know, each side has, you know, their right to speak and to be heard and to be respected. You know, be honest with your feelings. Go ahead and express them. Promote mutual respect. Allow both, you know, discussion and disagreement. Like I said before, respect cultural differences. Because I know, you know, the Native American community, the grandmother makes most of the decisions in that family. And, you know, Hispanically, you know, their culture is different from even the way I was brought up. Because, you know, I feared my mother more than I did my dad. I didn't hear that, oh, wait till your dad gets home. Oh, good Lord, no, that was just round 2. So, you know, even regionally within the country, we need to respect different perspectives. And, you know, again, remain focused on the topic at hand, the child. Not you, not the school, not the parent. The child is the main focus in this meeting. A relationship between individuals or groups that is characterized by mutual cooperation and responsibility as for the achievement of the specified goal. That's the main definition of partnership. Barriers in communication. You know, a negative history between the school and the parent. You know, they already had a bad, you know, a starting off, if it was the school's end or if it was the parents' end. You know, if there's health issues involved, you know, emotional responses could be a really huge barrier because, you know, even me as a mom, you know, I tend to get emotional, very loud and aggressive, but, you know, that's still emotions that need to be checked at the door. He's my honey bunny. He may be taller than me and able to toss my butt across the room, but, you know, he's still the honey bunny with the fat chipmunk cheeks. Love to pinch him.
What do you do? This is kind of embarrassing, but I'm a crier, and I mean, I don't think I cried at the last IEP, but it seems like every IEP I cry.
No, it's
hard.
It's completely unavoidable, and that's just who you are.
Yeah,
emotionally, that's who you are.
That's
and,
okay.
and, you know, and that's okay. You know, that's okay as long as, you know, you try to express that, you know, I'm a very emotional person.
Yeah.
And this is typically my response. So, you know.
Yeah, because I don't want. Sometimes I feel like when I do that, it gives off the idea that I think my child is perfect, and that nothing that the teachers or whoever or administration feels like she thinks her child's perfect. So, you know, we're not gonna. You know.
So no, that's why I was saying earlier. You know, go ahead and be honest with them.
Right.
And you know, tell them, you know, look, I'm a very realistic mom, but, you know, I tend to be a little emotional. So, you know, let's just see what we can do about progressing. You know, just go ahead and put it out there on the table.
Yeah, that's true.
And in that way, you know, they're not freaking out because, you know, you're crying and you know, coming up with assumptions and what have you. So just go ahead and be honest. And just, you know, lay it out there on the table.
Okay, thank you. That's great.
Again, like I was saying, acronyms, terms that, you know, you may not understand as a parent, just go, hold on, wait, stop. I need you to explain to me what PBS is. What is that? You know, what does that stand for? You know, get them, you know, just go ahead and stop and explain, because you can't end up anywhere good if you as a parent don't understand what people are talking about. Fear or intimidation, as parents, don't go in there, with that sense of, your voice isn't going to be heard, you don't have an opinion. You do. And the school district wants to hear it, and they want to know how you feel. So that's why I was saying, be honest. Go ahead and put it on the table how you feel and how you view things.
I have a question.
Yes.
I definitely am not quiet when it comes to a meeting, but we've had a lot of meetings, and they take notes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go to review the notes, it always says something like, Mom feels, Mom believes, Mom complained about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I send them back, I guess, my corrections to the notes, and I just changed all of that to, Mom stated, Mom said,
Mm-hmm.
and then I should read. I wrote her something, and I said, look, I'm an equal member of this team,
Mm-hmm.
and you are, belittling me by sort of, making my comments mere beliefs and feelings and things. And I said, look, this child, I didn't just pull this out of the air. He's got,
Mm-hmm.
a team of 14 private therapists, PhDs, MDs, 15 experts that know him way better than any of you.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say this, I expect it to be either put in here in quotes or at least given equal sort of say to anyone else that
No, and
said something.
you're doing everything correct, because that's how it's supposed to be stated.
Well, but it's just,
But when it comes back, has she done that? Has she corrected it?
well, what ended up happening was they just, instead of lining through or redoing the notes,
Mm-hmm.
they just said, well, write out what you want to say and we'll attach it. Well, so then, when anyone goes to read it, they're not going to flip to the back and
Right.
realize,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, it's this. So they're going to just perceive it that,
They're still going to see the part that you didn't want them to see.
well,
and
just
then
everything,
to the end.
as soon as they say Mom says, the person's going to just flip right over that because they don't care.
Yeah.
I don't have the same situation you do, but I because I'm in school right now, and one of the things we're learning as nurses is documentation. And there is a series from the other guy's perspective where he has to document appropriately. So basically the SOAP concept, which is I have to state things. If my understanding is that's an objective bit of information, I have to state it in a way that appears to be an objective bit of information, or this is subjective information. I don't think that the intent of that documentation is to belittle, but it does have to be done from a legal standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right to speak up, and I would ask that for future documentation purposes, could we make sure that we're in agreement at the end of a meeting? Could I see what you all have, what minutes you have, and could we maybe compare those so that we are clear that I'm not just giving my opinion in this particular moment, but in fact I am stating what we have documentation to back up what we have medical observations for, or those kind of things. And that's a hard thing. I know I'm still trying to get that from my end. Even nursing documents, it's that same way. How do I balance out? I'm not saying that I don't agree with what that person said, but all I can put is they stated,
Mm-hmm.
because that's my limitation. I can't say they stated and I agree even.
Mm-hmm.
That's my legal restriction. So just as an aside from.
So no, that's really good, and that's what you should do.
I just sometimes I can't process the notes after we have a 4-hour meeting straight through lunch.
Oh yeah.
And it's like I said, I want to take these home
Mm-hmm.
and look at them before I sign.
Mm-hmm.
But it just,
Maybe you have to set the tone before the meeting starts. That, hey, if I'm saying something, Mom complained about. I think that's what you're saying, right? They shouldn't prejudge what it is you're about to say by adding the word complain. Or,
Mom
yeah,
said,
you're not.
Yeah.
You're
Mom
yeah.
stated.
Another good idea.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're on top of the beginning.
Yeah. All right, difference of opinion. Again, acronyms. So here's a really good one. Listen to and restate the other's opinion. Don't be annoying about it, but just kind of make sure you understand what they're saying. Use a respectful tone. Compromise or change your opinion if necessary, but don't compromise how you feel, how you think, but just try to compromise with everyone. Know and state the reasons for your opinion. I've always used a really good kind of analogy that my grandfather gave me when growing up. Let's see if I can clean this up as best I can, especially since I'm being videotaped. Opinions are kind of like
No. That one. I know it's you.
yeah. Okay, we're on the same page. Everyone know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay, good. Then I don't have to actually go out there and say it. But it's true. Everyone has an opinion, and they all stink. So we just need to. That was the best way. Yeah, thank you. But we need to remember that even though we think their opinion stinks, that they probably think mine stink too. So we need to try to compromise on. Okay, I understand that's your opinion, but I would really hope for you to try to understand my opinion as well. And this is how I feel, and this is how we choose to raise our son. So like I said, try to compromise, a bit, but not to the point where, you're compromising on how you think your child needs to be raised because it's your child.
Somewhere it seems like it ought to be a point where we're happy about the fact, and I know this might sound idealistic or rose-colored glasses or whatever, but the fact that it is our child and the fact that we are a part of the team, those two things ought to make us very happy when we go into that meeting because we're there for them and it is our child. And you can't make it your child, so you can make decisions for him. I'm still the bottom line for my child. My child and I are still the bottom line.
So this is my line of thinking as a mom with my son, is that I'm 50% of the expert on that baby. The teachers, the doctors, the therapists, the specialists, everyone else that has dealings with him can fight over the other 50%. But I am the main 50% of the expert on that child. I live with him. Yes, I've done research and went to conferences and done a ton of studying on his disability and, trying to be the best mom I can. But it's the sheer fact I'm the mom.
Right.
I'm the mama. Sorry, hate it for you. So, but that's how I view things. And fortunately, my son's school has been really understanding of that. So they compromise and they work with me a lot because I also try to express to them what you're doing at school. I want to implement at home because there's no point of you doing it if I'm not doing it at home. So we have a really open communication. So we've been very fortunate to where I haven't had many bad IEPs or any bad meetings, but standing firm my ground on what we think is best for our son. Continuing on, coming together is a beginning. Working together for a common goal is progress, and good collaborative communication is a success. Oh, snap! Yay! Yes.
What does IEP do?
Individual education plan. So basically, with my son, he has autism. He was diagnosed when he was 2. So we went through early steps, and from there, we started doing his transition IEP about the time he hit 3, so he could enter school. And basically what that is it's an individualized plan for your child and your child alone. If, like my son, he needed severe speech therapy, so we had speech therapy on his IEP. There's a few goals that can be put in the IEP. Like for me, right now with my son, potty training is a really big goal for us. He's fixing to turn 11. And self-help skills. Him being able to wash his hands after he potties. Him trying to do his work. That's a really big goal for him because he likes to make himself throw up when he doesn't want to do something he doesn't want to do. So we're trying to replace that behavior for him to act. And we've gotten him to where he'll actually say no. But it's very irritating because when he doesn't want to do something, he'll look at you and he'll go, no, and drags it on out. So we're working on that one. But it's basically, several goals that fit your child and your child alone. And, the teacher goes with it. And, if there's therapy, if he needs transportation, if he needs to be in a car seat or in a harness on the bus for his safety, if he tends to be a wanderer, which that's what we had to do. So
it also includes their academic accommodations and modifications for testing. If they need a small group setting, if they need oral presentation, things like that.
But yeah, it's huge.
It's based on the federal law.
Actually, in that bag.
Yeah, we have.
Ours are little too, so that's why we have it. But he's in early steps, so they started to train that.
Yeah, and in that bag, you'll find a computer desk with a big old red heart on it. Our IEP workshop is on there. And I'll go ahead and say this to everyone, the good thing about that desk is that not only can you bring up the presentation and you'll see the slide, but just below it would be a script pretty much of what I would say if I was standing in front of you presenting that specific topic. So you get a little bit further explanation than just a slide. Any other questions?
I guess your introduction. You're with FMD?
Yes, I'm with the Family Network on Disabilities, but I am the co-director of the Pop-In Project, and that's up in the Panhandle. So I cover from Pensacola to Tallahassee, and my co-director, Lisa, back here is a very quiet one. She covers the rest of the Panhandle, about down to Gainesville-ish.
Alaska.
Yes. So we cover the whole northern half of the state, or the top third of the state. So we're up there.
What's the Pop-In Project?
It stands for the Parents of the Panhandle Information Network. Basically, what I said, any kind of resources up in that area, any support groups, you call me, I can hook you up there.
Workshops.
Do you know if there's a similar one like that in the Central Florida area?
Yes.
There is. Okay.
Yes. So you would pretty much be calling FMD's central office.
Okay.